Principle number 4, checks and balances. Our fourth principle is called checks and balances. It is different from separation of powers. Separation of powers means that each branch has its own specific power. Checks and balances mean that each branch can limit or influence the power of the other two. Take a look at this graphic organizer. You'll be seeing it again later in this presentation, but notice that it shows specific things that each branch can do to limit or check the other branch's power. The purpose of checks and balances is to prevent one branch from becoming more powerful than the other two. Call it paranoid if you like, but our founding fathers knew their history and saw the potential for corruption in a system that didn't have these checks and balances. Let's go over some examples of this principle in action, starting with the executive branch. The executive branch, or more specifically the president, checks the power of the legislative branch by being able to veto a bill. So Congress has the power to make laws, but the president has the power to influence what those laws are. The executive branch also has a check over the judicial branch. It comes in the form of the power to appoint judges. Every federal judge must be appointed by the president. Because of this, the executive directly controls the makeup of the courts. The executive also has the ability to grant pardons. This means that the president has the power to excuse individuals from sentences they received in court. Presidents wield this power cautiously and tend to offer pardons only in special circumstances, and typically only in the last days they occupy office. Let's take a quick look at the checks that the legislative branch has over the executive and judicial branch. To check the executive branch, the legislative branch has the power to override a presidential veto if 2/3 of both houses support a bill. The legislative branch is also in charge of the impeachment process. Impeachment is often confused with removal from office. Actually, to impeach means that the House of Representatives believes that someone may have done something seriously wrong. The House must have evidence that that person has committed a serious crime to proceed with an impeachment. It takes a majority vote to impeach someone. If the House impeaches someone, the Senate then holds something like a trial. If 2/3 of the Senate convicts someone, the person is removed from office. So, to review, the House impeaches and the Senate convicts. 2 presidents have been impeached. No president has been convicted. Another check the legislative branch has over the executive branch is that of confirmation. The Senate must confirm, meaning approve, every appointment the president makes to the courts and to his cabinet. It takes a majority vote. Notice, only the Senate is involved in confirming appointments, not the House. The legislative branch also has a very powerful role in the ratification of treaties. The president may negotiate a treaty with a foreign nation, but 50% of the Senate must vote in favor of the treaty in order for it to be ratified. The legislative branch also possesses a few important checks over the judicial branch. These include the power to impeach and convict federal judges. The same process for the impeachment of a president is in place for the impeachment of federal judges. The legislative branch also has the power to create new courts that are not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. For example, in 1979, a system of bankruptcy courts was created by the legislative branch. Finally, let's take a look at the checks possessed by the judicial branch. The judicial branch can check the executive branch by exercising what is called judicial review. Judicial review means that the courts can declare any action by the executive branch unconstitutional. The power of judicial review applies to the legislative branch as well. This means that courts can declare laws passed by the legislative branch to be unconstitutional. Please note, though, that in order for the courts to exercise judicial review, there must be a case brought to them that challenges a law or an act of the executive branch. Judges do not sit and watch the actions of the other two branches and make calls in the way a referee in a football game would. Instead, citizens sue to challenge a law or an executive action. Then the court can exercise judicial review. Take a close look at this chart. It summarizes much of what we've covered in the last two principles. You may want to pause the film here to carefully review the system of checks and balances. Here again we have the graphic organizer from the beginning of the presentation. Remember that separation of powers means that each of the three branches has a specific function. Checks and balances mean that each branch can limit or influence the power of the other two. This is so no one branch can overwhelm the other two. This system of checks and balances is there to protect the citizens of the United States from tyranny. This video is about to end. You may want to pause here as well to take a close look at the useful graphic organizer.